So we need to recap.
Yes, we do.
I know I could see you were getting very passionate there, but we do have to come down now to the final moments of this episode. But to end it, I'm going to share a quote, and this is by Alan Watts from The Spectrum of Love. Some of you here feel that you belong to a nice set of people. It may be an ordinary kind of bourgeois coterie of pleasant squares, challenging me.
Yeah.
Or it may be a church group of some kind, a club or a special cult, or just a group of friendly drinkers. But at any rate, you feel that by virtue of membership in this society, you belong to a special in-group of nice or saved people. Now, when you consider what nice people talk about when they sit around the dinner table and have an opportunity to nurture their collective ego, you will find that the most fascinating topic of conversation is the nasty people. How awful they are, what dreadful things they do, and what it is all coming to. I read this earlier and thought it was funny. And this very, very satisfactory, condemnatory conversation nurtures your ego. But people who do that don't seem to realize that they thereby depend on the nasty people in order to know that they're nice. They are, as a matter of fact, highly indebted to them. So I know I messed up and inserted some things. So I know that you can put that out there for people to read because it's actually very powerful. When I read it earlier, I was like, holy shit, this is for real. This is it right here. Like this summarizes, it's almost like it's the undercurrent of what is actually happening with the whole corruption and this whole thing with whatever. So
like we got to get off our high horses.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like we really do. I mean, it's important that we make strides to make society better and to make people feel inclusive. Right. But we can't do it from a high horse.
No.
To
think that we're better.
Think that we're better than. Yeah. To think that we're right and they are wrong. Because again, the separation.
That's exactly it. It's an immediate their mentality.
Yes.
And so
us
that
versus
them. That leads me into the 4 things that we can, or that we need to learn individually and collectively, right? That we need to use. And it's very much an us-them mentality. So that's the undercurrent of what's happening here with the FIFA World Cup, right? So there's 4 things. Number 1 is to accept others' cultures and perspectives. The question here that we can ask ourselves is what would the world be like if we were all the same?
It'd be kind of like a boring place, right?
Yeah, totally boring. I mean, one of the things that I really appreciate is when we can go to other cultures and experience that culture. I remember like when we went to, even cultures here in the United States, when we went to Vegas, that's a completely different way of living. California, Seattle, Washington, all these places.
Even with the Hispanic culture, you
Canada.
know, it's like the Mexican culture is a lot different than the Caribbean culture.
Yes.
You know, the South American, Central America culture is different. You know, the South American culture is so much different. Argentina, Uruguay, they're much different than the northern in Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador. Yeah. So you have those differences, but it's like the beauty of it all is that you could experience those different things and then see the similarities. Right. Between all of them, you know,
there's more
beautiful.
Similarities than there are differences.
Yes,
in my opinion,
exactly.
Because I think even when it's something that's different, and you're just like, oh, that's different. The similarity is that it's pleasant, or that you experienced it together.
That is like,
and that
oh
it was
wow,
like, wow, that's interesting. Oh, I would have never thought that you could make a taco this way or whatever.
Or you could say, oh man, this reminds me of what my grandma used to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, you see, it's
we're
like,
very similar.
It's like there's a lot more similarities. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2. Live by our examples, which is the only way to influence others.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, it's like instead of trying to imposing other people, you fight for what you believe. And you know, I think we all need to be living in a world in which you could live the way that you want to without violating the rights of others. That's always be like a tenet of that. But you need to live by that example to be able to live from that point of view and then influence others by the way that you live your life instead of imposing your belief system on other people.
And so that's number 3. Stop trying to impose your values and beliefs on other people.
Correct.
Imposing those beliefs on other people.
Like fight for your values and you say, you know what? This is what my group, we want we want the freedom not to be harassed. We want the freedom not to be this. And we wish that on everybody else.
Right.
And we don't want to impose our values. We just want to make sure that we
are respected for these beliefs and what we want. Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Which makes sense. So, and then number 4, celebrate others' accomplishments. So basically what you're saying here is what Qatar has done in such a short period of time, like building the stadiums and all the stuff that they've come to in the last couple of years, is a great human accomplishment. Not perfect, but has any of our human accomplishments been perfect? So that's a good question.
I mean, like if you think about it, it's like we've evolved, and we always are evolving.
Well, and you learn from your mistakes.
Exactly.
Too. You have to do something. And then kind of like hindsight is 20/20. Okay, we could have done this differently, and shit, we should have done this or whatever. Yeah. So, and I think those are all important things, and that's what makes us a thriving world.
Yes,
because we're talking about the world. It develops us. It makes us better people. We become more creative. Makes us think outside the box. It's just all the very simplistic things that really bring us together. It's that community, you know what I mean? And I think when we respect each other, that you broaden that sort of, you take the blinders off and you become a more, I don't know, rational and reasonable person, in my opinion. I think that you're easier to contend with when you have these perspectives of acceptance, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And I could see somebody say, well, that's a very naive notion of what you guys are talking about.
I know that.
But I will challenge them and ask them this question. What is the alternative? Mutual destruction?
Yeah. Well, some people would lean that way.
I know.
Especially when it comes to their beliefs.
I know. So. But again, accepting others and respecting.
And having boundaries.
Or mutual destruction. Yeah. Which one would you prefer?